Hey pit crew, welcome back to Queens to the Grid. I'm your friendly trackside New Yorker KP, and on today's episode, I don't think anyone could have predicted what happened. McLaren seems to be back, Ferrari wasn't able to capitalize on its momentum, and somehow, Kimi Antonelli has gone into the summer break with an even bigger championship lead on his rivals. This past weekend, we had the pleasure of witnessing quite a round of racing. Things kicked off Friday practice with the Ferraris looking the quickest and going into Saturday with Lewis Hamilton seemingly on the pace for pole. And absolutely out of nowhere, McLaren showed up. And that takes us to qualifying. Going into Saturday afternoon, the Hungarian hosted the ever-awaited hour of qualifying. Through Q1, we lost the usual suspects this year of both Cadillacs, both Williams cars, but only a single Aston Martin, Lance Stroll. Taking up that last spot, Oliver Behrman. Alonso has somehow done it again and pulled that car well away from where it should be and into Q2. Unfortunately, Alonso was not able to replicate that once more to move into Q3, leaving him starting in 14th. Ahead of him, having lost out on Q3 as well, were Ocon, Bortoleto, both Alpines, and then Liam Lawson. Which takes us to Q3. The atmosphere was tense. Going into the final laps, I had no idea who was walking away with pole. Ferrari, Kimi, maybe the McLaren of Lando Norris. The fight for first came down to the final runs of each driver in contention as it usually does, and somehow, Lando did it. My prediction wasn't way off, but at least I was right about both Ferraris starting up front, but wrong in the idea that Kimi ended up qualifying fourth. Unfortunately, Lewis Hamilton was given a 3-place grid penalty while Piastri was on a fast lap, pushing him down to fifth. So that means Kimi just moved up to starting third, right? Wrong. He was also given a 3-place grid penalty and ultimately bumped down to 7th. Now, with the top two in the title fight out of position at the start, Sunday's win was suddenly there for the taking. This brings us to F1 fans' favorite day of the week, Sunday, also known as race day. As you may already know, I live in New York, so I don't have the luxury of watching races in the afternoon at a pub. Race start for me this week was 9 a.m., not too bad, but I have work on Sundays, and that meant watching while on the move. And boy, am I glad I didn't miss it. Everyone on the mediums, except for the Ferraris, for some reason, and I'm excited. Lights out and Charles immediately loses 3 places. Meanwhile, further back, George Russell has more bad luck and experiences a bad start, losing him 14 places. Up at the front, Piastri takes the lead from third away from his teammate on the opening lap. Throughout the race, it looked like Oscar had a genuine chance to take the win, but by the end, he ran into a mechanical issue with his car and had to retire. Leaving in first, Kimi Antonelli? Oh, wait, he hasn't stopped yet. Okay, that's when I noticed. McLaren aren't just quick this weekend. They were back after a litany of upgrades, and Lando was sitting in net first position, meaning they may be a team on the rise here for the second half of the season. Now then, where's the Ferraris? Oh, net still 4th and 5th. Awesome. On a weekend where they finished ahead of Mercedes after qualifying, and they had a chance to put on some real pressure on their rivals, unfortunately, through a combination of penalties, tire degradation, and poor race execution, they weren't able to take many points away from the competition and has them leaving Hungary on the back foot. All in all, Hungary produced some great racing this year, mainly around turns 1 and 2, but most importantly by the teams and their race execution. At one point, as I mentioned, Mercedes gave Kimi a chance to build a gap out front to take the lead, but a much-needed pit stop meant his grasp on the win turned into a possible hold on the podium. By the end, he was able to take third, further extending his championship lead over both Hamilton and Russell. With Verstappen proving even driving not the best car, he can still get it done in taking second. Finally, Lando took a confidence-boosting win in a season after winning the title and showing that McLaren may once again be our team on the rise. McLaren proves they can take their upgrades from the factory to the track and provide results this weekend with a statement performance from Lando Norris. To start the year under the new regulations, McLaren had a huge task to undertake by learning not only the aerodynamics of this year's car, but also the new engine that they were buying from Mercedes. I believe once these upgrades make their way onto Piastri's car after the break, they may be a force to be reckoned with, because I think his retirement was a fluke. Hey, so Editor KP here. Turns out Piastri does have the upgrades on his car. So disregard that. McLaren is going to be very quick coming out of the summer break. And for the first time this season, Mercedes have a second team looking over their shoulder. There's one more team I'm keeping my eyes on after Hungary before we head into the summer break, and that's Aston Martin. They're nowhere near fighting for podiums like they once did in 2023, but Hungary was the first weekend in a while where I actually had a reason to pay attention to them. Aston finds themselves away from losing grip this week as they seem to pull out a good result for themselves in Hungary, showing some progress. After some upgrades to the chassis, introduced by Newey's team, as well as an engine upgrade from Honda, it seems the unit in green is coming to terms with the car they're building by finishing 13th and 14th. It isn't points yet, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. The team losing the most grip on their car this weekend may unfortunately be Williams. It doesn't seem that they understand this year's car and the new regulations at all. Last year, they finished the Constructors' Championship in 5th, a very impressive end to the season after a multitude of years of disappointment being at the bottom. Unfortunately, halfway through this season, they seem to find themselves there again by currently being in 9th. Remember, pit crew, Formula One waits for nobody, and at the moment, Williams seem to be running out of time. Okay, pit crew, box, it's time to talk strategy.
Box, pit this lap.
Hungary being a track whose characteristics don't favor overtaking outside of turns 1 and 2 means there's a lot more work that the pit wall has to do to help their drivers gain positions. This year was another display of that, with most teams taking a 2-stop strategy, while some others even went for a 3-stopper. Unfortunately this weekend, Ferrari's biggest problem wasn't outright speed. It was that their tires couldn't survive the longer stints than McLaren, who notoriously have made cars that are nice to their tires, managed perfectly. Managing tire temperatures doesn't just preserve grip, it gives your strategist options, and this weekend, McLaren simply had more options than Ferrari. Which takes us to today's checkered flag, pit crew. The summer break couldn't have come at a better time. Hungary provided quite a show this year, as it always does, through quick thinking on the pit wall and shock retirements. But with Lando picking up the final win in the first half of the season, it seems like the Constructors' Championship is wide open again. Mercedes have new questions over the next few weeks. Ferrari clearly have some work to do, and McLaren headed to the summer break with some momentum. Leaves us all wondering, who will come back the strongest in Zandvoort at the end of August? Before I go, I'd like to say thank you to the few of you who have subscribed, and hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If you did, leave a like and answer one of the questions I left for you in the comments. Until next time, I'm your friendly trackside New Yorker KP, from Queens to the Grid.